Guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be episode or part 3 of the NHL 22 wish list series. I thought that, it'd be good to have a discussion, especially early on still. It's only May, in things that we want to see in NHL 22. Obviously, as a game changer, one of my responsibilities is to relay your feedback, the community's feedback, to the developers to see if we can do some things to implement change. Now, I have to preface this because I got a lot of comments about mode changes and things like that. Mode changes, those really can't be impacted, but stuff about content and how that's released and different things, that maybe a leaderboard, those kinds of things, those can definitely be played with, and you guys could have a big impact on that. I want to talk about some things from part 2 that I really liked. I saw someone recommend, instead of rivals having a fluctuating, like a percentage-based system, that there's a flat plateau in terms of rank. So if you want to hit platinum, 15,000 rivals points will get you platinum. Then once you've done that, you don't have to worry about it. As opposed to like hitting platinum on Saturday, but then you get all those kids that just grind the game out and it knocks you back down. I think that because there's a set amount of games that you could really set the bars high enough so that wins matter more. That was another thing I talked about a lot of, making rivals matter more. And I think that's one of the recommendations, like I said, that I'm going to relay is that flat plateau for rivals. So that's just an example, guys, of your comments and how that, could impact the game. So if you haven't watched it, if you did watch part 2, you left a comment, I appreciate that. I'm going to get to those, but I want to follow up with the original comment video there. So if you haven't watched that, the NHL 22 Wishlist part 1, it's a few videos back. Go check that out, and that's where all these questions and comments are coming from. So with that being said, let's pick up right where we left off. All right, guys, I like this format. It's fun to talk about change and potential. So here we go. All right, Blairski77. Couldn't agree with you more, Sleeves. I'm an Xbox guy, so I've been grinding the show since launch because HUD has become so stale. I've barely even touched online and been loving it. I've never been so excited for a pull, NHL or MLB, than when I pulled Trout a week ago because of the collection grind. I wonder if they could implement synergy boosts for a team full or half of when you use them from one franchise. So I see this a lot. It seems to me that everyone doesn't or likes synergies or has is okay with them, but just not the way that they're implemented. I see a lot of talk about synergies, putting a custom synergy on the players you want. Using what Madden does, where if you make you get a lot of the San Francisco 49ers, they'll all get boosts, that kind of thing. I think that there's definitely a great happy medium when it comes to synergies. I'm in the camp that I would love to be able to put the synergies that I want on certain cards. I use Cale Makar as a perfect example. He is really fast. He's a great shot, but as a defenseman, just the way the game is played, anyone under 6 foot really struggles with bumping guys off the puck. You give him Gladiator and Shutdown, you increase his body checking, and he's been one of the most potent cards this year. Now, obviously, the way hockey is played compared to MLB, it's much difficult because everyone is obviously just going to choose those skating sins. And if you remove those from synergies in the game, the very next thing that people would put would probably be shot. So I'd be curious to see how that would play out. But yeah, I'm glad that you're liking MLB. I love MLB, and I hope you guys have checked out my MLB content. I stream it all the time, as well as NHL. But nonetheless, for the collection grind as well, I think the MLB is phenomenal for it. But yeah, I would love... I like the thought of that. It's just that really only tailors to putting players from your favorite team, and that's not necessarily the goal of Ultimate Team, because that would literally just end up being versus to an extent. So I think that there is a happy medium, but I'm just not sure what that is. ABG Extreme, my man, he's been around for a long time on my channel. How's it going, man? I would love if they had parallels next year, but I don't see them doing it because EA loves money, so they'll keep dropping prime times and team of the weeks in hopes people rip packs. And he followed up with saying, really, I just want them to add modes that are rewarding, like going back to MLB if they added Team Affinity in NHL, where you don't have to fill out rosters using cards, but by doing it by playing the game would be insane. 100% I feel you. Again, they can't just copy what MLB is doing because that's just a terrible look. They've got to innovate and find their own ways to do it. However, the parallel thing, I don't care what company it is, and if it impacts the bottom line. If you release good content and not just a ton of it, like, again, if you take a look at even just what's happened in NHL, you take a look, those NHL moment cards, they come out every so often, right? It's like 2 times a week, or the NHL Moments event as a whole. We didn't get that gigantic release of like 15 cards. We got like 1 or 2 a week, and that made them feel a lot more impactful. So I think that the parallel thing isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it allows each card to have more value, right? Like I said, I use Kevin LeBanc as an example. If I'm a Sharks fan, I want to use Kevin LeBanc, and he gets a card that's 81. Obviously, as a competitive player, I can't use him. However, if I can grind him out and score a lot of goals with him online, or whatever the thresholds are, then that improves him, and then I can use him on my team. And I think that's where we're at. I mean, NHL is just so hamstrung by the fact that, hey, okay, is this card fast? Yes. Okay, perfect. Does he have good synergies? Yes, perfect. He's on my team. And we don't even look at what the name of the card is. Like, I use an example. Like, I'm personally someone that doesn't really care about the European players that are released because I don't watch them, right? Like, I totally am happy for the European player base that gets those cards, but I'm just not jacked up for a league that I don't watch, right? So, but if he has a good synergy and you need him to be in competitive, I got to put him on my team, and that just cheapens the value of Ultimate Team and what the actual goal of it is. In terms of modes like MLB, like I said, you got to start with Battle Royale. I think that's a phenomenal one, but then a program system like Affinity would be great, man. All right, Chris Perv says, make checking harder. It's crazy to me that you can play a full game against someone and they average one hit a period. Just doesn't feel like hockey to me. It's no fun to play against. At least they could do is give the team that actually hits some momentum like in a real game. I almost find squad battles better, even though it's boring than rivals, the fact that hitting is actually relevant. Okay. Yeah, watching someone spam poke all game at their blue line, no penalties, hitting 90% of the pokes, it is tough. And I will say this year, poke-checking has become more prevalent because it tracks the puck. So when you hit R1, the higher the poke-check, or the higher the stick-checking stat, right, it will actually aim at where the puck is. Not where it's going, where it is. So you have to time it correctly, or you'll get penalties. That's how you get tripping penalties. I agree. However, I think that if you use bigger players, like I don't hit a lot, but I bump a lot. I think that's the thing. Like, you're not going up for these all gigantic hits. That doesn't happen in the real NHL. Even in a playoff game, the start of the game, first period, you get some big hits for sure. The guys are finishing their checks. But you don't see those big, huge body checks an awful lot in a game. But you do see the bumping off pucks and things like that. I'd prefer that over just spamming pocheck, because, yeah, spamming pocheck is super annoying. All right, Connor Gillis says, reduce master set cost of GCs. I've said it before, but the 80, 89, 90 master sets during the first 2 weeks are better than the 97 masters that are out now. Also taking from MLB, stats that go above 99. During the end game, every card with max shot or hands doesn't feel better overall because only a few stats are going up. You've said it in the past, but having stats go to 125 like MLB would give more incentive to chase these higher cards. Since 92 McDavid basically has max skating, it's not much worse than the 99 since important stats are always max. Yes, man. I said this in my video, like the progression system in NHL is just, it's very frustrating because once they're capped, like we use McDavid as an example, everything else just rises up, right? Now, they did a good job at fixing speed a little bit, but as the end game got closer and now we're here, we're still seeing the same kind of thing. While we don't see as many 99 overall speed, we see like 95. And I mean that, well, it's better than what we had last year. I don't know if that's the thing. And you got to remember that MLB stats, they all don't go to 125. Just the hitting stats do. So if we take that into account, like, yeah, maybe the shot goes over, but I think it's skating. Like, I do. I think skating being over 99 so that you could allow faster guys to be up there. But their shot is just brutal. Like, you could have someone with 70 shooting, but 110 speed. And, you got to play that out for sure. And the cost of GC is 1,000%, man. It is. It did not, in my opinion, should not scale, right? Like, if you are playing the first week of the season, those 89, that Miro Heiskanen, that Panarin early on Nylander, those are the best cards in the game, other than the Lemieux and Gretzky and Lafleur. But those are the best cards in the game. They cost about 9, I can't remember what it was. It was like 6 to 8 GCs. Sure, that's fine. But 2 months later, when you've got primetime, team of the weeks, all that kind of stuff, the new cards that are out, maybe old event cards, you're not going up by, 4 overalls. You're keeping it roughly close, but the cost to get them is like triple. So I 100% agree. I think the cost of GCs is definitely driving a wedge between the free-to-play community and even the pay-to-play community. Like, the amount of money that I spent on this game, full disclosure, I mean, this is my job. It's an investment and a tax write-off. I spend, probably about $2,000 on my team, all right, this year. Again, it's a business. But that being said, if I rip $100 in packs, you know how many times I've ripped $100 in packs and gotten literally nothing except for like maybe 2.5 gold collectibles? Like, it's tough, man. Like, so you're not even guaranteed anything by spending money on the game now. So it's just all just, oh my God, I hope I get a good pull. So, all right. So from Jordan Cohen, at the end of the day, if the content isn't top tier, all I want in HUT is an actual realistic hockey game. I don't think it makes sense that 90% of goals are cross creases and short side wrist shots. I like what EA did with speed adjustments, 0.4 overall for a given card. Another topic that should be addressed is how certain cards just aren't usable for the average player. We hear you say countless times on how it takes a lot of skill to use the players who are generally above 6'3" without top end speed. For example, Barkov is one of the most underrated players in the league, and because of how the game is played, we can't use him till the end game because of his lackluster speed in IRL, but he's one of the best in position. Another example is Saros from Nashville. He had like 60 saves or something, and that will get him a prime time, but no one will use him because he's very small. I'm happy with the improvement EA did content-wise, but I still think they have a long way to go. All right, this is a hot button topic because I am in the side that I don't think, like, oh man, I'm trying not to get a million dislikes here. Okay, if you watch an actual hockey game, okay, it is a one-timer will go in. It is an extremely popular goal. It is something that happens. It is what you are cycling for. Essentially, the cycle game is set up so you have a one-timer in place, okay? That goal should go in. The problem is that in NHL, you're not playing a full 60 minutes. You're playing these 20-minute, instead of 2.5 hours of hockey, you're getting, 20-minute, you're getting a 20-minute time frame. So it's sped up. So those instances are going to be so much faster and more apparent. A short side wrister by someone that has over 90 shooting and the goaltenders are in the 80s, that should probably go in. I mean, I can give you for every glitch goal that we have this year, and for anyone that's watched me on stream, like the Jack Hughes, like the hold the forehand, wrap around and fire it upstairs on the face-off circle upstairs. Like Jack Hughes literally scored that goal. And then the one where it's like you hold the forehand and you just come down the ice and right after the face-off dot, you fire it short side. Like, I'm gonna get this mixed up. It was a Arizona Coyote player. It wasn't Connor Garland. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. It was his first NHL goal. I just can't remember off the top of my head who scored it, but I can give you those instances that happen. The problem is that we play hockey and NHL so much and it's so much faster pace that we see it way more. That being said, I think the real difficulty of making NHL is that people, when they play the video game, expect there to never be instances that are hockey related. All right. You take a slap shot and it bounces off a shin pad, off a stick, and maybe off a shoulder pad and in the net. Like that happens in the real game. There is a lot of luck that goes into an NHL game. Like we're firing pucks 100 miles an hour through 7 bodies that all have sticks. Like those goals are gonna happen. Those bad ones that you don't want, you don't like, they happen. But when you're playing a video game and it's X's and O's and technically ones and zeros, it's programmed. You don't want that, that variable that is hockey to actually happen. It's a very, very hard line to toe. I don't personally know how. I think among all of the professional sports that we have and the video games tied to them, NHL is just the most difficult to make in terms of what the on-ice product is because of how random each game is. Like, I'll use a perfect example. And my man Clappy, the Clapperton, our community manager, he likes to remind me of this all the time as he's a Vancouver Canuck fan. If you go back and watch the Vancouver Canucks eliminate the Sharks, Kevin Bieksa takes a shot that goes off of the stanchion up into the air like 20 feet. No one on the ice sees it. It lands right on his stick at the point, and he just hammers a garbage slap shot from the point, and it goes by Niemi because literally 11 other guys didn't see it. And that's just the stuff that you don't want to see in game because it's a video game. You expect things to work the way that, you expect them to work. And I think a lot of people just forget that in hockey, it's just so random. However, when it comes to being able to use all of the cards, 100% agree. The one thing I'll say is that this year, it's been way more improved in terms of the amount of cards you can actually use. All right. While 6'3" Barkov doesn't have elite end speed, I have been a big advocate for guys like Eric Lindros, those kinds of cards, because a centerman that's huge has a ton of value in this game. The bigger players have a very distinct advantage in their own zone, and even holding onto the puck in the offensive zone. However, in prior games, like NHL 20 specifically, you couldn't use Goudreau or Morenz. Like, you just could not at the end game, because they didn't have enough of a speed advantage, because all the 6'5" guys all had 99 speed. And it was a clear disadvantage. There was no, if you had a player under 6'2", you were at a disadvantage. And I think this year they've done a really good job in terms of the speed progression to actually fix that, because you can use the smaller players. Like Jack Hughes has been one of my favorite cards. I did a video on my top 5 favorite cards, and Jack Hughes is one of my favorite. If it was an NHL 20, it wouldn't have been close. So I think they have a long way to go. But yeah, in terms of goaltenders, I have no idea what they're going to do to fix that. Because again, goaltender in a video game is ones and zeros, and that is always going to be a difficult thing. They did a good job with progression in terms of goaltender this year, but yeah, I don't know how they ever fix that. Good comment, by the way. Kelly Martin, we need franchise editions. I was watching Tugi play NBA the other day and found it's unbelievable how cool small features that game has. Something like voting on CBA rule changes, having players go to Europe and coming back, or having an actual draft lottery cutscene. Small things. I 1000% agree, man. We are in a world where the franchise, the franchise mode and offline players are a dying breed. I grew up playing this game. I'm not even going to lie. Up until about NHL 10, I would buy it every year, and I would just pump in 1,000 hours of GM mode. Like, it is always my favorite mode. I loved it. I loved all the stuff and the weird. I remember in NHL 04, I think, where you like built your own office, and like that's the stuff I love, just because I love RPG games and things like that. And companies in sports, I mean, we take MLB for example. They're just abandoning it because of it's a sign of the times. Like, kids nowadays don't really care about franchise mode. They want the instant gratification and immediate play and competition. Whereas someone like myself and you and a ton of other people, like, they want to just be able to sit down, chill, and run a franchise mode. Armchair GM, like, that is one of the coolest parts about sports video games. And it's just not a driver. It doesn't move the needle for sales as much anymore. And it's tough because I think NHL's franchise mode has done a great job in terms of some of the additions, and when you stack it up against FIFA and Madden, it is far better, but without roster sharing and, that kind of thing, like, it just is super hampered down, and, I agree, dude. I would love to see franchise mode get more love, but it's just resources that they have can't be put solely into offline modes, because that's not going to sell games anymore, unfortunately. Steve N, they call it parallel because of trading cards. Every card has a base card and then a parallel version of the card up to refraction. Hey, I appreciate that. I had no idea. Thank you. You learn something new every day. Super card of refractor. And I'm also just getting into sports cards myself, boys. I just collected all of the Upper Deck 2020-2021 Series 1 collection, and I just did a big box opening of Series 2, but I have all the Young Guns, all the Canvas, all the base cards. It's been really fun. Anyways, that was off topic. Goose says, going off the Team of the Week thing, I think it'd be cool if you could, like, turn in 10 Team of the Week players and get a guaranteed 86 Team of the Week player. 100% agree. 100% agree. Exchanges would be really, really useful. Madden, again, has the same thing. You trade in a bunch of 85s, you get an 86 player. As opposed to what we have now, you pull a base Malkin, now, and he's literally just traded in with 50 other cards. 100% agree. I think that'd be a great addition. All right, so Battle Axe Lee says, Hut champions need to be point-based like in real hockey, not just win-based. Example, a 12-8 record would basically be the same as a 12-8-0-8 record. So the person now quits 8 times will be the same rank as the person who sweats 8 OT games. Ooh. I'm going to finish reading this. Okay, 12-8 would equal 24 points. 12-0-8 would be 28 points, equivalent to a 14-6 record. At least it would provide better rewards. Overall cards and team should be based on attribute averages, not just boosted because of defense and offensive awareness are crazy high. I agree. Or the bronze goalie effect. Get rid of speed and acceleration synergies. All right, let's touch on all that. He touches on a lot of things. Okay, and again, this might be because I'm older, and again, like, this is like a generational thing. I'm a boomer, I guess. Not really, but all right. Let's talk about Hut Champs. What is Hut Champs? It is the most competitive mode that NHL has. It is for the best of the best. It is the only mode, in my opinion, that needs to be tailored to the 1%, okay? Everything else listen to the masses, the casual player, the guy who can't make Div 2, all, Div 10 players, all that. Hut champs though, no. That needs to be tailored to the 1%, and here is why. If you do not have a competitive mode in this game, it drives engagement from the top end players way down. And why is that a bad thing? To be honest, they're the most engaged in the game usually. Like, if you look at the top end player in the game, the GWC right now, they easily have the most hours put into the game. You lose the most passionate players, and you're going to see a massive trickle-down effect. Now, it is the only mode that they should take their opinions into account. So, when you say, I'm going to give you a perfect example of why this method would not work. 12 and 8 should not be the same as 12-0 and 8. It should go to a point-based system. The first thing that you're going to see in this community, because unfortunately it is, we live in a society that wants quick gratification and wins, and no matter what the cost, all you're going to see is every single game among top-end players, not even top-end players, just average players, you're going to see messages, and I see this on MLB all the time because they have a friendly quit feature, and if you don't know what that is, in MLB, in any ranked season game, you can go to quit and then friendly quit, and you can both just decide, hey, that player's got a good team, I don't want to sweat, we're going to wash our hands of this, no record, and we'll just go back, which I think is okay because if it's a connection issue, that's great, but it leads to a lot of dodging good players, and you see a lot of guys just hunting for like those, much worse players. All you're going to see is guys that go into overtime because no matter what, if they win, it's the same as winning in regulation, and if they lose, it's half as detrimental as losing in regulation. So that won't work because, again, the mode is supposed to reward the most competitive, and that's not really what it's doing right now because of the server, that's a whole other conversation. So, well, I'm a firm believer of if you lose in Hut Champs, you lose. You lose. Now, overall cards and team based on attributes averages should not be boosted because of defense and offensive awareness. So, yes, I agree. I mentioned in my video, or my top 5 things for NHL 22 I'd like to see. I would love to see it where there is an overall limit or something that doesn't allow just you to put your entire team in for Hut Champs. Because, again, it would allow players that can't grind the game out a ton, even if you're a competitive top-end player. Sometimes you don't have the time to play 50 Rivals games in a week, right? So, or you don't spend money on the game. So if you cap it at like 87 overall or 86 overall, you've got to make some roster decisions. And that's really going to, have you think about what you want your team to look like if you play for Hut Champs. I agree it should not take into defense and offensive awareness and certain stats like that, like, strength, or I'm trying to think, discipline, or those useless ones. It should be a base of like the important ones. I agree. I think get rid of speed and acceleration synergies. I agree. I think that is something that should definitely be done. I think we're at a spot now where it should be. My one fear is that because of how NHL is played, anyone that has no speed because they can't get that increase is just not going to be used. Like Chris Pronger, for example, he's got 79 speed. He doesn't have a speed synergy off the top of my head, right? But like, it's scary if you think about it. Just using that as an example. All right, squad battles should be higher difficulty than Superstar, Legendary Murder Summoning, not normal than a few weeks. Total games should be playable at any time. Stop forcing people to play them on weekends. Also, you should only be playing with teams you're average or above. So boring playing a 74 team with your 94 overall team. Okay, I like a lot of this. Playing anytime, 1,000%. That needs to go. I tried grinding out squad battles the first month of the season because I think it's the rewards in squad battles are incredible. Like, there's no arguing that. Guaranteed coins and packs, 100%. But playing offline hockey is just so much more boring than playing offline MLB, and I don't know why. Even playing offline Madden. And it may be because it's not challenging. So maybe adding another mode, maybe that might, but I mean, squad battles is not meant for someone who, like me, likes Rivals and playing online. So if I'd be like, oh my god, now I gotta sweat the offline games, like, maybe. But you could choose to play it on a lower difficulty. 100% though, that needs to go, the playing at certain times. If you have 40 games you gotta hit in a week, play them anytime you want. And the average thing, I guess, man, but it evens out though, right? I think that their system of, like, it's basically RNG to decide top 100 is kind of crap too, though. Rivals, totally agree with you. Stop rewarding losing. People will be AFK, lose because you still get 300 Rivals points to complete the game, plus coins, plus it counts towards your objective for challenges. Winning 2-1 in OT should give the same amount of Rivals points as winning 6-5 in OT. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. All right, from Steve again. I think they should have a creative player like in the show. Would be so much fun to be able to level your own guy and have him eventually become an elite addition to your team based on performance. See, I hate the creative player in MLB. I really do. It impacts the game in super negative ways. And if you look among the most, passionate for MLB, a lot of them say the same thing. You run a dangerous road of like cheesing it because all you'll get is anyone that plays Hut will go play Be a Pro, but not because they actually want to play Be a Pro. Even though Be a Pro is a really good mode, it is one of the best. The new additions this year, one of the best single player modes that you can get in terms of Road to the Show and things like that. I think it's really good. Road to the Show is super boring now, and all they did this year was allow you to put your creative player into Diamond Dynasty, which is all just like a marketing ploy to get you to play offline players to go play online. Yeah, I don't know. That's a dangerous path to make. I really don't like. I love keep the game on the ice. I like that. I like that more. Like, keep the game with the actual players. All right, True North Gaming. How about servers that are unplayable on long weekends? Muddy skating, passes way off. I have a new router, Home Hub 3000, wired Ethernet connection, wired controller, 50 megabytes down, 11 up, PS4 Pro, and replaced DSL lines by Beltec. Still massive input lag. It's definitely not my hardware setup or internet in Oshawa, Ontario, and I'm frustrated with these muddy, slow skating delay times. It's destroying my rank. High div 2 consistently, 200 lower in champs, so don't try to get you're getting beat because of your skill. Any advice would be really appreciated. So, as a streamer, this is something that I can 1000% sympathize with. I had a company that was basically like clockwork. Every 8 weeks, it would just kill my upload speed. And it took about 15 service calls. I moved. Again, this is my career. And internet issues are very difficult. Here is the thing, speaking to a developer. Every game experiences lag. Every game. It's just the way that you actually see it is far different in, let's say, Call of Duty than it is in NHL. So a slight lag, let's say any lag, any sort of input delay. And by input delay, guys, I mean, oh my goodness, now I'm drawing a blank. Not ping, but like the not drop frames either. What is that called? Packet loss. If you get packet loss, that is 1000% your internet provider. Okay, you probably have what's called line noise, and you need to call your service provider and say, "Hey, I think I have line noise coming from my network node in my area." If you're not getting any packet loss and you're just getting slow, I mean, it depends on where you're located. If you're saying you're in Oshawa, the only difficult part is that you're probably pinging Quebec, and you are not close to Quebec. So, you're closer than. See, my server is Quebec, and I get 20 MS, but everyone in Quebec gets 2, which is why I no longer. I bought a Netgear Nighthawk, and I choose what server I select to now. It's tough, man. I feel for you. Canada has the worst internet among all of the established nations in the world. I'm not even over exaggerating. Our upload is capped at 30, maybe 50 in some lucky areas. It is absolutely insane and brutal. In NHL, how you experience lag in NHL is so detrimental compared to like Call of Duty or even Madden or even MLB, for example. It's tough, man. You've done all the things you need to do. I would honestly just call your service provider and see if you have line noise. That might be a thing. So I hope that helps. Let me know. All right, guys, that is part 3. I'm not even all the way through all the comments. I love this. This is really fun. Again, I get to kind of talk about some of the things that you guys really want and you think that you want in the game, but if I can explain why they aren't, those kinds of things, or if they're doable, that kind of stuff, spills a lot of myths and rumors about, the dev process. I really like doing that. So, guys, everyone, thank you for commenting. If you leave comments on this video, I will get to them. I think I might just continue this series and talk about, potential changes in NHL 22 for the rest of the summer. I don't know. I like it. For anyone that's asking about where's my Who Should You Choose series, I'm going to go finish that. Again, I'm going about episode 100. I'm going to try and get that done tonight. I will try. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Please subscribe as I'm almost at 26,000 subs. I appreciate every one of you. I'll see you guys on Twitch live at noon Eastern time. Link down below. Have a good one.